There are a plethora of reasons to crash a wedding. And since we're going to touch on wedding crashing a little bit today, I'm going to tell you why you should do it and how you should do it. And before you say, but Rocky, what do you know about wedding crashing? Don't be a fool. Would I be Rocky Powell if I didn't have one crashed wedding under my belt? And the night is young. I could crash another one before the episode is over. Just you wait. First things first. If you're crashing a wedding, you want to be on the sauce. You know what I'm saying? Glug, glug. Not because you aren't fun when you're not drinking. Stop that. But because no bride or groom is going to be that forgiving of someone not lit all the way up, crashing their wedding. You're clear-headed, so I'm sure you're already invited. For the rest of you degenerates, here goes. Please do not crash a wedding at the start of the wedding. N-O. This is a surefire way to not get a piece of cake. And you know what, you little badass? You want cake. Yeah, I know you do. You're praying for a red velvet cake with vanilla frosting. Don't lie to me. You don't want to show up when people may be seated or about to be seated or have intention to be seated. You aren't trying to blend, but you aren't trying to stick out like a sore thumb either. By the way, why is the phrase stick out like a sore thumb and not stick out like a gangrene thumb? Or a thumb that's all black and blue? If the reception starts at 7, you show up no earlier than 9. This isn't a Vince Vaughn, Owen Wilson movie, okay? They were two white guys in suits. They have their own rules. And look around. Nobody is questioning white dudes in suits. They get away with murder, literally. And if you are a white guy who would wear a suit listening to this podcast, then I urge you to Google Wedding Crasher rules, okay? There was a whole movie about it. These rules are for everybody else. And for the record, that movie walked so you could crawl right into an open bar. It's tacky to try and get free food from a wedding. You crashed it. But it's economical and fruitful to enjoy the open bar. If you're crashing the wedding of someone you know, make sure they like you. Crashing the wedding of your enemies is time wasted and terrible karma. The wedding I crashed, the bride gave me a running start hug with a smile from ear to ear, okay? Sometimes there's tears. You can't invite everyone you like to your wedding. That doesn't mean you wouldn't want them there. These weddings in capitalist society don't bode well for acquaintances. Or if you dislike going to weddings, maybe you're praying you are an acquaintance. But you show up at the right time to a wedding, you can make a positive impact on the bride or groom's memory recall. Our wedding was so cool that people crashed it. As far as crashing a stranger's nuptials, there are some differences. You must be dressed well or very cute, and you must be attractive. And if you're thinking, how dare you, Rocky, I am attractive. I could crash a stranger's wedding. Yeah, no shit. I never said you weren't attractive. You did. I don't define what attractive is either, especially if you're shining from the inside, baby. You decide what attractive is. But just remember, we're animals at our core. If you hadn't noticed, you have no control over what these other animals think of you, but you can try and make sure your fur ain't mangy. You dig? Don't crash looking a mess. If you know the people, bring a little gift, even if it's just a bottle of wine or a scratch ticket and a card. I'm not saying you gotta throw $150 in the envelope. You crashed. That's the joy of crashing. But you could bring a little something if you know them. If you don't know them, maybe take a little something. Not the gifts from the gift pile, but you know, you see a cute flower arrangement on the table. It's every crasher for themselves. Also, if you don't know the people, you better bring your dancing shoes and be ready to do whatever shot is shoved in front of you. A wedding wallflower is worse than no wedding guest at all. I hope these quips and tips helped. Be ready for the worst, but expect the best. YOLO, baby. It's wedding season.
Duh.
Welcome to the Rocky Rundown, where you get to learn a little bit about my week. Party God Squad, hello. Did you have a good week? I sure hope so. I hope your spring is springing like it ain't never sprung before. I've been talking to the people. And I've been the people, because I am the people. And this spring is extra horny, baby. Everyone is trying to get stuffed and fluffed, you feel me? Myself included. I'm not exempt from Mother Nature and her want to get pounded out by Father Time. That's who I imagine Mother Nature would be banging if she bangs anybody. They're a perfect match. She's strong, resilient, well-rounded, and multicultural. Father Time, he's distinguished, always on time, and overly reliable, even when you don't need him to be. They have the same friends, and despite any of our greatest efforts, we can't keep them apart. And when we try, terrible stuff happens, like natural disasters or personal disasters, where you wake up and blink and all of a sudden you're 79 and you realize you never started the stamp collection that you wanted, or you never tried that backflip. Father Time will be right there by your side, baby. And I guess overall what I'm trying to say is I hope you're fucking. Godspeed, because these streets are rough and the pickings are slimmer than a glimmer of light through a peephole, baby. Hello. I had anesthesia this week. Shout out to Dr. Mitten Yansky, best beats in the morning doctor's office and best propofol in the game. I thought to myself, I am far too awake right now to fall victim to this anesthesia, but there I was, knocked all the way out. You're in a daze of sorts while you're all out of sorts, which this week, besides being in a daze from the doctor-administered drugs, I was also in a daze from Hugh Jackman. That's right, I was at Lincoln Center and I looked up and there he was, Hugh Jackman. Am I the only one that thought this man was small? I don't know why I thought he was my height. Someone said it's because the character Wolverine is small, but I'll bet money that Wolverine's comic book height was not in my brain archives at all, I assure you. Hugh Jackman is tall, and he's broad, and he's handsome. I mean, he's handsome on screen, but in person, you're just like, God damn, okay. I see why they give you so much money. That's a good face. I never thought twice about him before seeing him in person. I never really saw his movies. But you know him because you know him. But in person, he is statuesque. In person, he is a superhero. In person, he is his name if his name was a person. A huge, jacked man. And he was with this little old lady that he was being so gentle with, arm around her, walking slowly. It was so adorable. He looked healthy, he looked wealthy, he looked rich. He was that bitch. He's 54 years old. There was a point in time when 54 was considered archaic. Now people are in their peak hotness. 54 is the age range of most of the Golden Girls when that show started. Don't get me wrong, those women weren't out to pasture, but they certainly weren't considered conventionally sexy by the masses. And now that's changed. The way evolution is going, aesthetically, people are going to be hotter later in life for longer. Something to get excited about, you little vixens. That brings us to Rocky's highest thoughts, my most stoned thoughts of the week, number 1. I've gotten really into Malcolm Gladwell lately. He's out here making some excellent points, and I cannot recommend him enough. When you talk about Malcolm Gladwell, you have to mention 10,000 hours, which is the idea that spending 10,000 hours on something will make you an expert. The other day, I'm getting my hair done. Same hairstylist for 4 years. Shout out to Aletta. She did this trick where she twirled the brush and it stayed in my hair while she used both hands to do some other stuff. And I thought, damn, that shit was slick. That was a perfected skill of someone who's put in their 10,000 hours. I've been going to her for over 4 years, every 3 to 4 months. I'm part of her 10,000 hours journey to being at the top of her game. Every time someone provides you with a service using their skills, you're getting what you need while simultaneously helping them perfect their skill. Doesn't that show you how much we all need each other? Number 2, if a plant is growing on a Republican's lawn across the street from a plant that's growing on a liberal's lawn, do the plants have beef too? Number 3, as tax day approaches, I once again can't believe they made teachers teach us about the periodic table instead of how to function as an American adult. Number 4, isn't it absolutely nuts that our teeth are out here shifting in our mouths with simply no regard? If you don't wear a retainer constantly, then your teeth will straight up say, I got somewhere else to be. I want to go explore other parts of these gums. Incisors just sprawled out atop canines. My guest this week is comedian Aurea Young. Aurea's wild word was wedding crasher. Wow. Her story is absolutely bonkers because season 3 is absolutely bonkers. If you're cold, come on over to Wild Nights because we are bringing the heat. And if you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. You can follow me at Wild Nights with Rocky on TikTok and Instagram, at Wild Nights Pod on Twitter. If you want to watch extended interviews with all of my guests, please subscribe on YouTube. You can join my Patreon to support the show for $2 or $5 a month. For my $5 a month tiered friends, you're going to get a weekly Irish lesson with me. The language is endangered and it is up to us to help keep it alive. A big thank you and a future thank you to everyone who's written and everyone who will write a review when this episode is over. It really does make a difference. And now, please enjoy my Wild Nights conversation with Aurea Young. Aurea, welcome. Thank you for doing the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited. I know you're a comedy girl, you're an improv girl, so we have a lot to talk about. How has your 2023 been so far?
2023, it's been very busy.
Yeah.
Like that's probably, the best way to describe it. I started 2023 traveling.
Mm-hmm.
So I was on like a girls trip with a friend and
Mm-hmm.
like all my friends, we went to Colombia.
Oh my God.
So it was so nice. And so then as soon as I got back, I had to move. Me and my partner, we moved into our own place together. So you know how that is, I'm sure,
Yes.
with like trying to
Yeah.
find an apartment here. And this was like literally like the next day after like having a week of no sleep, like immediately like apartment viewings like every day.
Mm-hmm.
So then I moved in and then starting comedy back up again,
Yeah.
after like the hiatus of the winter. So it's just been so just busy with like life and things
It's
like that.
hectic.
So it's so hectic. And so things are finally like starting to like settle down where I don't have to do a bunch of things on
Yeah.
the weekend and like
Yeah.
adult life. It's
Adult
trash.
life. Yeah,
It's
no,
so
it
trash.
is. I think about that sometimes because I get pretty busy too. And I am always like, but is this it? You know what I mean? I'm like, is this it? And one day am I gonna look back and be like, oh my gosh, I wish I was as busy as I was when I was younger. Like
Mhm.
now I'm looking for something to do, or I don't know. Like I don't know what the right answer is.
Yeah, it's like I like having stuff to do, so I like being busy with like
Yeah.
good things and like good things that I'm excited about, like moving into a new place and comedy and stuff
Hmm.
like that. It's like
Yeah.
it's better than just being busy with like work,
Yeah. Oh
you
my
know?
God, 100%, 100%. When it's things that are fulfilling you and pushing you forward and taking you to the next level in your career and life, then it's like, give it to me, give it to me. But when it's like, oh
Yeah.
God, I have to go to work in 3 hours. That's not what I
It's like I
signed up
don't have
for.
time.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
Like
almost
work is getting in the way of like living.
it gets in the way of living in a big way.
Mhm.
Especially when you're like, I just want to hang out with my friends and laugh.
Mhm.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah,
Um,
just like simple stuff, like go for a walk in the middle of the day or you know what I mean? It's just
Or spontaneous things. I remember when I was younger, and this is actually true, not that much younger. I guess it was younger. Maybe it was like 6 or 7 years ago, but I actually, and this is a fact, I was a wedding crasher.
really.
I was, which is convenient because Aria's wild word was wedding crashers. So, Aria, please take us into your wild night story, wedding crasher.
Okay. So this night was I have to change some names and some
Well, I like to say
okay.
on here, we protect the innocent and not so innocent. So you change any name and I will go with it. Do your thing.
Yeah, I had to like run this by somebody before like, is it okay if I tell this story?
I love it
So
already.
So the night, okay, so this night started, it was New Year's Eve.
Uh-huh.
It was a couple of years ago. I'll just say that.
Okay.
I'm not gonna say my the exact year
Gotcha. I
because
gotcha.
my friends will be able to pinpoint my location and be like, I know where you were at that time.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was like New Year's Eve. I used to work in college athletics. So
Okay.
I was in Atlanta for a bowl game,
Okay.
right? which if you're, familiar with college football, it's like the end of the year. It's like a big game. It's like a whole thing. They like fly you out and put you up in a hotel. And my friend lived in Atlanta, so I was like, why don't you come stay with me in the hotel? I'll be there for New Year's Eve. We can have a girls' night
It'll
and,
be fun.
it would be fun. And it was the night to be very classy. We're going to make vision boards and
Oh, I
do
love
all
it.
this
Hmm.
fun, cute stuff. So in the hotel we were staying at, they had a hospitality room for the employees, and it had free top shelf alcohol and a lot of it, like these. And I was like used to drinking like box wine,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
that sort of thing,
I'm right
Four
there with you.
Locos, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But this was like my first experience with like classy wine that like I can't pronounce this.
The wine they want
And
you to spit back out.
the one
Yeah.
that you right. This is like spit out wine,
Yeah.
not like chug it and pour it. So
Yeah.
somehow me and my friend managed to like confiscate a large amount of alcohol from this hospitality room. We took it to my hotel room, and we're filling it up, like
Yeah.
drinking, getting wine drunk. We're making vision boards. They suck because we got so drunk in the
Yeah.
hotel. There's
Yeah.
like it looks like we were setting up shit for a fucking like ransom note. It was just
Mhm.
little cutouts and letters everywhere, stuck all over. So we weren't getting anywhere. We had glue everywhere. So we are like, it's New Year's Eve. Let's go out. We're in
Yeah.
Atlanta. Let's go out, have a good time. Somehow we managed to get dressed. We are pretty wasted before we even leave the hotel because
And let me
we're
ask
like,
you this. Do
mhm.
you said you moved to Atlanta, so you don't know the city as well, or had you had your bearings in the city at this point?
This was my first time
Okay.
here. So I didn't know, but my friend, she knew like where to
Okay.
go, where to
Gotcha.
hang out, where the spots were. So we get dressed, we're going out, we're walking around, and it's New Year's Eve. We're having a good time. We got on
Yeah.
our little New Year's Eve hats and stuff. And we're trying to find somewhere to go into, and we passed this like little low key stairwell, like it's kind of like in the cut, and we hear some music playing. I can't
Okay.
remember what music. It's probably something of the times, like Rihanna or something.
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, that sounds fun. So like, what do you do when you hear a song? You follow the music, right? So
Absolutely.
we go up this stairwell, and it's like this big ass party, and we're
Mhm.
like, oh hell yeah, like we're going into the party, and we're like, what is this? Like, is this a bar? Is this a club? Like, what's
Yeah.
going on? And then all of a sudden we see this woman in like a wedding dress, and we're like, wait a minute, is this like a costume party? Is this like a masquerade party? And then we look around and we realize it's a wedding reception. The whole wedding reception. We're not dressed for this like
Right.
formal affair. We're in like all black, but I guess like by the time we made it into this wedding reception, it was like that point in the wedding reception where you send the kids home, you send like the old folks home, and it's like a turn up and like everybody's lit at that
Yeah.
point.
Mhm.
So once we realized this, we're like, should we go? Like this isn't our scene. And then this couple comes up to us, and they were like, oh my gosh, you two are beautiful. Like, are y'all twins? Like they were just so fascinated. And we're
Yeah.
not twins at all. We look
Right, right.
nothing alike. We're just like two random black
Fraternal.
girls. Right. Yeah, we're like, but we didn't want to leave. So we're like, yeah,
Yeah.
we're twins.
Yeah.
And we're just like playing into it. And they're like, oh my God, let me get you a drink. It's an open bar. They drag us to the bar. They're like, we're taking shots and stuff like this with like the wedding party. We're in the middle of the dance floor. It's just us. We're dancing. Everybody's so excited. And they're like feeding off of our energy. And they're
Yeah.
like, you know what I'm saying? And we're just having a good time. We're like the life of the party at
Yeah.
this wedding reception that we're not even invited to.
Right.
And so, and it's also New Year's Eve. So it gets close to midnight, and this couple comes up to us and they're like, where are your drinks? We getting ready for the countdown. So they drag us back to the bar, get us drinks. We bring in the new year with this couple and all of their friends. And, big celebration, the ball drops, we have fun. We're like, da 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 da. And so then we start seeing like more and more like random people are starting to come into the reception, and now people
Okay,
are starting to
so
get suspicious.
yeah,
It's
because you're like, it takes one to know one, and we were the first random
like,
ones here, and now you're blowing up our spot.
yeah.
Yeah.
And now you're blowing up our spot. So we're like, hey, maybe we should like leave and get out of here before people start sobering up and realize that we don't that they don't know us.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we leave, we walk around downtown Atlanta, and somehow we made it to like a bar or some type of club where my
Right.
friend knew the bouncer. It was someone that she used to work with. So we're just standing outside the club, they're talking, and I'm just standing there. They walk over to the side, and I, for some reason, decide, you know what? I'm going to check IDs and see what will happen. So I
Okay.
stand outside the bar and I just pretend to be a bouncer, like I
Yeah.
work there. I think I may have charged some people a cover to get
Amazing.
in.
I love
I'm
that.
checking IDs, and it's just like I realized then, like, people will comply and do whatever you say if you look official and
Yeah.
you know what I mean, and you commit to it. So I'm just like checking a bunch of random IDs outside of this bar. Like, I work here. There's like a line forming. The guy who's the actual bouncer is like, okay, cool. Like, she's doing my
Yeah.
job for me. Like,
Yeah.
cool. So at
He
that
didn't
point, then
care at all.
he did not care.
Oh,
He was like, well, there's no harm in it. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
like someone needs to do it. So he was like, sure, go ahead. I
Yeah.
don't even think he was even checking IDs when we pulled up, but I was
Yeah.
just like, I need something to do while they're like talking or flirting or whatever. So, you
Yeah.
know what? I'm going to just like clock in and like check IDs at this
Clock
bar.
it.
So then after a while, I was like, all right, I need a break. So I realized I have to pee.
Can I take my
And
15?
yeah, I'm like, can I take my 15 and we're gonna go? So I just say, like, you know what, I have to pee. My friend's like, I have to pee. We have to pee like so freaking bad.
Yeah.
And we're trying to find our way back to our hotel. We're
Right.
both at this point very, very drunk
Gotcha.
from the fancy wine, the open bar at this wedding that we crashed. And so now we're stumbling around in downtown Atlanta trying to make it back to our hotel. And we have to pee so bad. Finally, make it back to the hotel. We realize we're not going to make it to the room. So we have to find somewhere to pee. And we try to go back to the little hospitality suite because it's on like a lower floor.
Right.
We get there, it's closed. I just fall to the ground. I'm like sobbing and crying. And I was like, oh no. And then all of a sudden I hear what sounds like water like hitting the floor. And I look over to my friend and she's literally just pissing on the carpet
Yeah.
in the middle of this very nice, very fancy, very expensive hotel where I'm sure my boss is probably not far
Yeah.
from us. And so, it's like, what do you do when you like see your friend like literally pissing herself in the hallway? I just
Was
got
it
up
an
and
intentional pee or was it like I'm
no,
pissing myself?
I'm pissing myself.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
she was like, oh no. And then the water, I just hear it and I look over and I just see it happening. And at this point, I am just in like drunk shock and
Yeah.
I didn't know what to do. So I ran. I ran away. I ran away. I just run as fast as I can because now I'm like laughing uncontrollably and I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I don't want to pee on myself
Yeah.
too.
Oh my God. When you're
So I
laughing
ended up
too.
yeah, when we're laughing too. So I ran. Somehow I made it back to the room. I made it to the bathroom. She comes in and she's like, bitch, you left me just pissy in the hallway. And so, we shower, we make it back. Everything's good. The next morning, I am probably the most hungover I've ever been in my life. I think I threw up probably like 4 or 5 times
Yeah.
that day. I don't think I made it out of the bed until like 6 o'clock that
Yeah.
night because it was just like miserable. I had all these missed calls from my boss and my supervisor wanting to hang out that day. And I had to lie and say that it was just like I had some bad barbecue or something to
Yeah.
get out of it. But yeah, so that was like my wild night. We crashed a hotel. I became a impromptu bartender and we pissed in a very fancy 5-star hotel on the carpet. So yeah, fun times.
That peeing yourself by accident on the fancy hotel carpet, that is a little bit better. I would not judge either way if she was like, "Hey girl,
You
I got to
know?
go." We're just human beings, but that
Yeah.
is like, you're drunk at the end of the night and it just happened. I can't even be mad at that. The hotel
Yeah.
can, but I can't.
I was really expecting to like wake up the next morning with like security like dragging us out of there or
Yeah,
something from
just
like
on
watching the
edge.
tape. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like on edge of like, oh my God, I hope like nobody else finds out that like we were the ones that pissed in the hallway outside of the hospitality room that night. So hopefully, I never heard from it because thankfully, somebody affiliated with our program got arrested that night. So it worked out that like I wasn't the biggest news
There
story.
was a scapegoat.
There was a scapegoat. So more people were concerned about someone getting arrested than
I'm
they
actually
were about
having
like
them on the
in
show
the
after
hallway.
you. Well, that was absolutely wild. And you know what? And this is kind of a life hack I'm learning, and maybe people know this already, but you saying that just living in fear of someone coming to knock on the door and drag you out of the hotel. But if you think about it, the bouncer is letting you check IDs. The hotel staff, people are just regular people. Like, people don't want to have to do extra shit. People, you know what I
Right.
mean? There's a few people out there that want to pretend like they're in charge of everything, and I'm going to get you in trouble and I'm going to do this, and those are a certain type of people, but for the most part people are getting paid a certain amount of money. They're like, this is out of my jurisdiction. Someone's
Absolutely.
coming to look for you.
Absolutely. I feel that because I feel that like I'm not going to do anything that's going to make my job harder. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Like
exactly.
that's going to be a lot of paperwork. I'm not about to do that. Like sure, do your thing, whatever.
Yeah,
I
we'll just get
don't
a
get paid
mop.
enough to care. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it
and
was
it
a carpet, so I don't know. They probably had to steam it.
had
But
to do all this stuff. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, geez.
but
That's all right.
still,
But to go get mad, like, that's so, I feel like that's so extra, and we live our lives always thinking like there's authority, but really, like, people are just regular people, and they're like, I
yeah.
don't want to do the extra stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm
And
not surprised you got away with it.
I think COVID also showed us that a lot of our rules that we have are very made up. Like
Very made up.
they're very made up. Like none of this shit even matters, at the end
Yeah,
of the day, and it can change in a second or like in an instant. You know what I mean?
I do. I think
So
that's a
it's
great
like,
way to put it, that the rules are kind of made up, and it doesn't mean go run amok. I mean, a lot of the time rules are there for a reason. Everybody can't piss on the carpet.
right.
But once in a while, if it happens, like, it's not, we're learning what the real end of the world is and what the end of the world is, and the
Right.
one that's the real end of the world is way worse than a lot of the stuff
It's
that's going
way
on.
worse. Yeah. And it's just like, and it also really, that night really taught me that like, it just do whatever feels good in the
Do
moment.
what
You know
feels
what I'm
good.
saying?
Yeah, do
Just
what
do
feels
what
good.
feels good. And just like if you commit to something, like even if like you're faking, like with imposter syndrome, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's like, no, you're not supposed to be at this wedding. You're not dressed like appropriately. But if you just lean into it and just go with it and just pretend like, I'm going to pretend like we're invited and we're supposed to be here and we're going to be the life of the party and we're going to dance and we're going to drink like we were on the guest list. No
Yeah.
one's going to question it. If I stand outside of this door and look like I'm supposed to be here and tell people to show me their ID and give me $5, like people are going to do it and going to believe that you're supposed to be here. You know what I mean? So it's
I
like
do.
kind of a deeper lesson in that.
Well, actually, I think that's a great segue too, because you're from Louisiana originally, right?
Hmm.
And it reminds me of being in New Orleans, going to all the bars on Frenchman Street, all the times they've been saying, like, oh, it's a $7 cover, it's a $5 cover. Now, next time I'm going to be like, do you really work here? I'm
Mm-mm.
going to
Like,
question,
who are you?
who are
You
you?
should
So,
question that.
are you from nearby New Orleans, anywhere near there, or?
No, I'm like 4 hours away. So I'm on the
Okay.
opposite end of Louisiana.
Uh
So
huh.
I'm closer to Texas. So I'm like
Gotcha.
maybe like 30 minutes from like the Texas border. But
Gotcha.
I have frequented New Orleans and Bourbon Street and the French
Yeah.
Quarter like way more than I probably should have.
I don't know. Is there a limit? It's so wonderful down there.
There is a limit, and I think I
There is,
reached
bitch.
it before. I reached it pretty early in life. Like there was a period after my last time at Mardi Gras where I'm like, you know what? I think I'm good on New Orleans for
Really?
a while. Yeah. I was like, I'm good. I don't need to come back here like ever again. So I think I went maybe like a couple of years before I ever decided to like go back because
Right.
I
You gave it
went
a rest.
so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to college at LSU, which is like
Okay.
45 minutes away.
Right.
So, you
Yeah.
know, I'd be in the middle, literally I'd be in the middle of a study break and someone would come into my dorm room like, hey, you want to go to Bourbon right now? And I'm like, it's
Yeah.
Tuesday at 1 o'clock. And then I'd be like, okay, sure. And we would
Yeah.
just go and stay
Yeah.
out till 6 in the morning and then come back and go to class. So get burnt out on the night.
Yeah, of course. I actually the last time I was there for my friends got married and it was beautiful, so much fun, great wedding. We had the time of our lives, but I was supposed to leave. The wedding was on a Friday night and I was supposed to leave on Saturday
Hmm.
or Saturday afternoon, and 8 of my friends were on the same flight. And the next morning I'm like I can sleep in a little bit. I'm not answering my phone, blah blah blah, and one of my friends starts banging on my door at the same time my phone starts ringing, and I'm just like, but I'm in such a zen place right now, what could possibly be going wrong? And my friend was knocking the door and he's like, Rocky, our flight was canceled. And I just go, I'm gonna stay.
Oh,
I was like
wow.
naked in bed and I was just like, I'm not moving. I'm gonna stay. There's the New Orleans gods want me to stay for the night. And they were all couples on the flight. So
Hmm.
I was the only
Ugh,
solo person. So I was like, I don't need the couples, you guys go deal with that. I am not tied to anybody. I don't have to make arrangements. I called down to the
not to
front
be
desk.
anywhere.
I go, can I extend my room for one more night? And the second she said yes, I go, awesome. And then I changed my flight immediately for the next day.
Hmm.
And it just ended up being one of the most fun nights I've ever had in New Orleans. And but when I was leaving, I wasn't like, oh man, there's still a bunch of my friends down here. I wish I was staying another day for Sunday.
Hmm.
I had my fix. So I can see what you mean about like getting that out of your
Yeah.
system in a way.
'Cause it's only and then, like, as going to New Orleans, like, as, like, a college student, like, late
Mhm.
teens, early 20s, it was, like, very different from then going as an adult the next time when I went back, you
What does it
know?
feel like? What does the difference feel like? Because I've only gone I think the first time I went to New Orleans, I was 30, almost 31. So
Mhm.
what's the difference for you?
I think it's, like, probably, like, the purpose behind it. So,
Mhm.
like, when I would go in my early teens, I'm just trying to, like, get as wasted as I can. I
Mhm.
don't have any money. So, like, I'm just living off of, like, just being cute and, like,
Yeah.
people wanting to buy me shots and, like, buy me drinks. And so I'm basically you're running off of alcohol and stuff,
Right.
so and you're bar hopping and you're going from here to here. But as an adult going back, like, I don't bar hop. I literally me and my friends, we restaurant hop. So it's like,
Yeah.
so we're like, "Okay, let's go to brunch at this spot," and then like, "Oh, we know this really cute spot to get, like, some beignets, so we'll go here," and then
Yeah.
we pass the ice cream parlor, "Oh, let's get something here," and then, so
Yeah.
we're just, like, experiencing, like, different restaurants and stuff like that to the point I leave because I'm full and I've
Yeah.
spent so much money on like dining and shit like that. And
Food's
I may have
incredible.
like one drink that I carry with me throughout the night
Yeah.
versus like I'm just chugging them before I get to the next spot when I'm like
Right.
a teenager, And then as a teenager, like I was just like very unaware of my surroundings. I'm just like, whatever, you know what I'm saying? A bunch
Yeah.
of random guys and like I got bit on my stomach once there while I
What?
yeah, it was really random. I was at a bar. That was the other thing when I was in school, like, if I was at a bar and there was, like, a stage or anything like that, like, I have to get on the stage
You're on
and,
it.
like, I'm on it, like, it's happening. So I was, like, on stage and I had on, like, this little midriff and stuff and some this group of guys walks in and this guy, he looks at me, we make eye contact, and he literally just pulls me and just bites my stomach while I'm on stage, lets me go and just, like, walks away, and I was just like, "The guy just bit me on my stomach." Like, I don't know what to do from this,
Now,
like
neither is okay, but was it kind of like a light bite where you felt his teeth, but there was no, or was it a bite
there
that
it
hurt?
wasn't it wasn't a bite that hurt. I don't remember it hurting, like, it didn't leave a mark or anything. It was more the shock of
Yeah.
it, like, person just like, imagine just randomly getting bit. you know?
Yeah,
Like at a
yeah.
party, like you're having a good time. And I'm thinking like, does he want a hug or whatever? And then it's all of a sudden it's like, no, he's like tasting flesh and it's just like the rest of the night, I'm just like, I don't know what to do. I just got bit in the middle.
That is not okay on any level, but there is a tiny, tiny, tiny part of my brain, and I just have to get this out. There is a tiny part of my brain that is like a little flattered. Smallest part
Hmm,
that's like, this guy is an animal in the wild, and I'm the prey that he chose. There's the tiny, it's not right either way
it's
to
not right.
do not bite people, but there is a sick part of me that's like, I got bit. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I will never forget the look on this guy's face, like, before he did it, because it was
Ravenous.
kind of like yeah, he was just, like, kinda almost like you could tell he had been drinking a lot,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
he's just,
yeah.
like, making these, like, bedroom eyes at me and just
Yeah,
pulls me over, and it was just like and then just walks away, like,
yeah,
didn't even
yeah.
ask for my number or
That's for the
anything.
best. He left his number in teeth marks on your on your stomach. Well, that
Probably.
probably well, New Orleans culture of drinking is a little different than being up north. We have our
Yes.
fun. I remember leaving New Orleans and then trying to leave bars in the city with a drink in my hand, and the managers and something like, you can't do that. And I'm like, oh no, it's cool. I was just in New Orleans. And they're like, yeah, it's not cool. So I do love
Yeah.
New Orleans culture, but you came up here and you've been here what, about a year and a half now?
Yeah, I moved here October 2021.
Mhm.
2021? Yeah. Oh, wow, it feels
2021?
like it's yeah. Wow, I've been here
Nice.
for a while. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. And are you loving New York?
I do, I love it. I feel like I came here at a great time. Well, it's kind of, like, good, it's kinda bad because I feel like with climate change right now, like, the winters have been pretty chill since
Yeah,
I've been here, you
yeah,
know?
definitely.
Um, so the weather has been very kind to me, and, I've just met a lot of, like, really awesome people.
Mhm.
Um, in the South, like, we have this, um I don't know, this image of like what New Yorkers are like and that they're just rude and they're very mean and you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So and I tell my family and people back down south, I was like, I haven't had a bad experience with a
Good.
stranger here. You know, everybody is like so nice and very okay, they're kind. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
and, I feel like here I am very much, like, more social and much more extroverted because I have no problem now talking to like, starting a conversation with a stranger at a bar or, like, whatever. My neighbors in my building I live in Crown Heights, and
uh-huh.
so they're, like I think everybody in this building is just the most awesome. They helped us move in
Yeah,
without asking for anything, you know, they see us struggling, they see, like, 2 girls trying to carry up a bookshelf and they're like, "Hey,
yeah,
let me help you," you know, like stuff
yeah.
like that. And so I love the people. I love New York in the summertime. Like I can't wait for it to get warm
It's
because
gonna be
that was
so
like
fun.
it just gives me so much life. Like just
Yeah,
walking around and then just like stumbling on like a block party or some type of street festival. It's
yeah,
like it's everything. Like I love it. I don't think I will ever leave, of course,
yeah.
you know?
Good, good,
So
good,
yeah. So I love it. I'm a New Yorker now.
good. And you're loving the comedy culture of it all too?
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. I think probably like 90% of my friends are comedians,
Yeah,
you know? And I was worried about finding like a community or something like that, you know? Because when I started comedy, I started in like a small town in
yeah.
Augusta, Georgia, you know,
Mhm.
where like we all knew each other and I was worried about like coming here and where this is kind of like the mecca of like stand-up comedy and like I was
Yeah,
like, it's gonna be like very scary and like very intimidating, but like everybody has been like not everybody, but you know what I mean.
I
Like the
do, yeah,
community that I found has been like very supportive. And like the open mics that I do go to have been all like, you know, like women, POC,
yeah,
LGBTQ, you know. And so like I've really like developed I feel like a really good community and a really good bond with a lot of people. And
great.
it's just been a great experience. And I just feel like being like doing comedy here in New York just makes you like get better so much faster than
Yeah,
anywhere else in the world. You know what I mean?
I
Does that make
do.
sense?
It does because you kind of get like, well, to your point of saying that New Yorkers and the New Yorkers that you've encountered are kind, I think that I 100% agree with that. New Yorkers get a really bad rap, mainly because it's so loud. I mean, there's traffic, I
Mhm.
mean, horns constantly and a lot of impatience in that world. But in the world of people interacting with each other, yeah, everybody might not be like, "Hey, good morning," but, somebody might, like, hold the door for you at the subway, or you know
Mhm.
what I mean, or let you go ahead in line if you have less items. There is a sense of kindness and taking care of each other, especially I feel like a post-pandemic.
Yeah.
People, everybody here went through a lot, and so it's now we're just trying to have each other's
Mhm.
back again, and there's some zany people and there's some wackiness, but, um in terms of comedy, I think, the cream rises to the top always, so that's good, and I'm happy to hear that you found a community that's embracing you and making you feel really at home because, once you come to New York, you make it your home, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen a lot of, like, community and, like, care, just like you said. It's because I always thought it was, like, such an introverted place, like, everybody just minds their own business, like,
Mhm.
nobody really cares about, like, what's going on, but, like, it's once you find your people or, like, your space or, like, your community and, like, you and especially, like, as, like, a transient person, or, like, an was it an implant? Is that what they call
Transplant.
people?
Transplant.
Transplant,
Mhm.
implant. I was gonna get there. But, like, it's really important to me, like, wherever I am or, like, where I live, because I move around a lot to
Uh-huh.
really, like, not try to take over the community, but try to, like, blend in and, like, really, like, assimilate to, like, that culture, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
like, I don't wanna be the one that's, like, coming in and, like, driving everybody out, you know what I
No,
mean?
no,
Or,
no,
like,
no.
I'm calling the police every 5 minutes because people are yelling outside of my apartment, but it's
Yeah.
like, no, like, I like that sense of community that I felt here. I remember one instance, I used to live in Bushwick, and there was, like, my bodega guy, like, offered to walk me home because there was, like, somebody kinda sketch, like, in the neighborhood that,
Yeah.
and he was worried about me getting home safe, and I was like, down south people would not care or, like, would never do that. I've never had anybody, like, offer to, like, "Let me
Yeah.
walk with you home to make sure you get home safe," or anything like that, and, like, when I tell people about that down south, their, like, minds are, like, blown because they were like, "I thought everybody was so mean and just minded their own business and stuff," and it's like, no, like, people actually
Take care.
care if you
Yeah.
care, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
And of course, you go anywhere, there might be some wolf in sheep's clothing, but for the most part, and I lived in Bushwick about 11 years ago, 11, 12 years ago, and I cocktail waitress till about 3 o'clock in the morning. So, taking the subway at 3 o'clock in the morning, it's like, it could be a little bit dicier, but back then it was a little more normalized.
Mhm.
And I would take the subway home, and it was a 7-minute walk to my place. They were these black cars that would sit outside the subway station, and you would just pay cash for them. I honestly think it was before Uber and Lyft, but, they would wait outside, and usually for a 2-minute drive, they would charge $10, but
Oh,
you
wow.
can't really put a price on your life or your safety, and
Right.
unless you don't have any money, then you're like, "Oh, I guess I'm just putting a hoodie up and running home," like, whatever, you know what I mean? But, I would get out so late and I wouldn't get off the train till 4 in the morning, and I'd taken a cab with one guy one night and then the same guy the next night, and by the 3rd night, he was like, "Listen, I'll be waiting here. You tell me what nights of the week you work. I'll be waiting for you around this time." And he charged me only $5 when everybody
That's
else
so
was charging.
awesome.
Yeah, and he really took care of me and, looked out he was like a little angel for me for, like, I don't know, like a year and a half, but when I would get off work, he would be sitting there and I would always look
Oh.
for his car, and it was just really comforting to know, you
Mhm.
know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and then even if there was a random night that I wasn't getting off the subway at 4 o'clock in the morning and he was there, he would still charge me only $5 or he was just really sweet.
Mhm.
So, and you said that about your bodega guy. There are little angels out there that will take care of you, and you just have to find them, and if you have the
Mhm.
energy to attract them, they will be there looking out for you. Now,
Absolutely.
Aria, do you have anything you would like to plug or share, or can you share your social media so everybody can find you, follow you?
Yeah, I'll share my social media.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so my Instagram is it's just Ari, which is ITS Justaury.
Beautiful.
When I tell people that, they'll just put in Ari, and I'm like, no, it's not. It's just Ari. It's literally the words.
Literally, yeah.
Just Ari. So yeah. So my Instagram is also the same on my Twitter, TikTok, all of that. It's all the same.
Amazing. Well, I want to
Yeah.
thank you so, so much. I feel like you shared so much. This episode was so rich, and I really appreciate you sharing your time and your story. And I hope that you and I see each other in person soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much again for having me. This was great. This was fun.
Oh, I'm so glad you had a good time. I had a great time as well. And you and I will talk soon, okay?
Okay,
All
bye.
right.